Jeff, nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
This is another one of your very unusual friendships, Daryl.
I'm trying to make it the norm. You understand?
I was a part of the National Socialist Movement.
Which is Nazis.
Nazi.
The National Socialist Movement is the largest neo-Nazi group in the United States. 40-year-old Jeff Schoep, who goes by the title Commander, leads about 55 chapters.
Is that you?
Yeah, that's the old uniform, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. So at any time while you're doing this, did you think, what am I doing? I'm on the wrong path. This is crazy.
No.
No.
Not
So-
until later.
When was later?
Around the time when I met Daryl Davis.
How did you guys meet?
So I was contacted by a filmmaker, and they said, would you come down and film as part of this program? So they had reached out, and they explained the show, and I said, okay, because any opportunity to spread the propaganda of the movement, I'm going to do it, unless it was like Jerry Springer or something. So it sounded legit. I agreed to it. Didn't know I was meeting Daryl. I still would have done it, but I would have probably prepared to debate this guy because I knew who he was. I knew he was pulling people out of the movement.
So I get in this rental car and I drive to the grill.
And so this was at a place called Chris's Hot Dogs in Alabama. And my girl and I were sitting outside, and Daryl steps out of a vehicle, and I'm thinking, I recognize this guy. He comes up, shakes my hand, we shake hands, and he says, hi, I'm Daryl Davis. You must be Jeff Schoep. And I'm thinking, where do I know that name from? Where do I know his face? It didn't quite register because I'm just thinking about, this debate that we're going to get into. And then after we sat down, it clicked. I was like, oh, this is the guy that gets people out of these organizations. Jeff Schoep, National Socialist Movement.
Daryl Davis.
Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. I've heard a lot about you for years.
National Socialist Movement travels all over the country on behalf of white citizens, on behalf of white rights.
If people ask me, are you a white supremacist? No, I'm not a white supremacist. White separatist, white nationalist? Yeah, sure. Basically, when you have white people that are standing up in society today that are talking about white pride or white issues, they're often called racists or bigots or hate mongers. If you watch any of my speeches or things like that, I'm not out there saying nigger, kike, or cuss words or things of that nature, and most of our leadership doesn't either. White people should be able to stand up for white issues, just as the other races have, without it being called hate.
Would you compare yourself to Martin Luther King?
In some ways. In some ways.
Which way?
He was campaigning for his causes in a peaceful manner, and that's what we're doing.
A black gentleman came up and he says, it's just black rage. It's just black rage. That's why I say he's doing that. It's just young black kids taking it out on whitey because it's black rage. Well, guess what, black man? There's white rage, too.
The American melting pot experiment is something that we believe hasn't worked. History has proven that we can't all get along. I'm from Detroit, so my experience living amongst many black people is that a lot of them feel that white people have oppressed them and held them down.
Is there any truth to that at all?
I don't feel there is.
Really?
I don't feel there is.
When they were brought over here against their will, forced to work for nothing, their women were raped by the slave masters, their children were sold on the courthouse steps.
As far as slavery was concerned, it was a travesty, a human travesty, and it was something that should have never happened and should have never taken place, and it was very unfortunate, even though it's been hundreds of years, and some of the animosity, I think, is still there.
Even go back 50 years. We still had Jim Crow laws. This was, 100 years after slavery. Mm-hmm. And we still see it lingering today. I'm not justifying hatred, but I'm just giving you a reason why there's some animosity there.
And that's what I'm saying. It's better if we separate amongst the racial groups so we don't have these sorts of things.
Do you predict that there will be a race war, or do you think it will be averted?
To speak a little more frankly and a little bit more radically, we wouldn't like to see a race war, but if it comes, we intend to finish it. What we'd like to see is a white nation state. We would like to see our country liberated from the Zionists. first and foremost, and then handle the racial issues from there.
So you consider Jews to be a race as opposed to a religion?
Absolutely. And we feel that they're basically an enemy of the state.
Are you a big proponent of the ideology of Adolf Hitler?
We are inspired by the political ideology of Adolf Hitler, but I don't like to get into the Holocaust, or as we'd say, the so-called Holocaust, you know.
Do you believe that it did happen, didn't happen, or did not happen to the degree that we're taught it happened?
It did not happen to the degree that we're taught it happened.
Could I join the NSM? There are white people in the NAACP.
The membership is just open to white people.
So it's racist.
I wouldn't say it's racist.
Well, what is it?
It's geared towards white people.
You men and women that are here today, if we are going to take back this nation, we have to stand in solidarity. White power. White power!
What kind of music do you like, Jeff?
All kinds of music.
Yeah?
Rock, hardcore, oi, RAC, Rock Against Communism.
And do you realize that rock was invented by black musicians?
Oh, we're not going to go
Oh,
there.
yes, we are. Oh, yes, we are. Yes, my brother, we're going there. Well, who invented rock then?
Elvis Presley.
You're not being serious, right?
Why not?
I know a man as intelligent as you are, and trust me, I'm one of the biggest Elvis fans you'll ever meet. But Elvis Presley himself would say he did not invent rock and roll. He attributed it to people like Chuck Berry and Fats Domino and the blues.
You're a musician, so you probably know some more things about music than I do as far as going back and all that, but I think it's irrelevant. You know, whoever created the music, if music is good, music is good. It doesn't matter who created it, does it?
Well, it matters that credit is given where credit's due, because you're trying to give credit to the white forefathers of this country. What difference does it make? I'm here now. Ben Franklin's not sitting here.
No.
Abraham Lincoln's not sitting here. I don't give a shit about Abraham Lincoln or Ben Franklin. I'm just saying, like you're saying, what difference does it make?
I know black people invented peanut butter, and I like that.
What was his name? Come on.
Carver?
Yeah, what first name?
George Washington Carver.
My man. My man.
So at this point, I'm the head of the National Socialist Movement, and Daryl and I are getting along great. We're talking about music, we're talking about all these kind of things, and it clicks in my head, oh, wow, I'm getting along too well with this guy. He's the enemy, you know, or so-called enemy. You know, he's on the other side. So I better step it up here. So I pound my fist on the table, and I said, you know, Daryl, I'll fight to the last bullet for my people. My people were being squeezed out of existence. We would fight to the last bullet for our people.
Did you do that because you were realizing that you were getting a little too friendly with him?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That's so funny. Like, I'm keeping my ideology no matter what.
Yes.
That's funny. You're not going to trick me by me being a cool guy.
We laugh about it now, but at the time I was pretty stressed out.
And so when he went into Nazi mode, I remained the same way.
Right.
And that freaked him out.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
What did it feel like to you?
Well, normally when you escalate, and we call this relational dialogue, and we do talks about this as well. But
So it's a strategy?
It's a strategy. Yeah. Wow. So when I tried to escalate, normally almost 99.9% of the time when you escalate, the other person escalates. Daryl didn't escalate. So I'm doing that, and he just goes, and then just continues the conversation like I never even raised my voice. So I'm like,
if you start yelling at somebody, they start yelling back.
Right.
Right.
So I'm blown away by this. I'm like, why is this guy not reacting? What's going on here?
Right.
And so now I'm really dialed in because I'm trying to figure him out. And that's when it was soon after that you explained the story about how the Cub Scouts and how racism affected him growing up. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking about, what if somebody would have done that to one of my kids?
Right.
And I saw Daryl's humanity in that moment, so that's how he cracked that window open.
So after the thing was over, they're meandering around, getting their cameras packed up. I pulled Jeff aside and just talked to him, just one-on-one, man-to-man, no cameras, whatever. And we just talked about a couple different things, talked about women and this, that, and the other, and just what guys talk about.
Normal.
Yeah. And we exchanged phone numbers.
So was it initially meeting Daryl that started this journey for you?
Yes, it was one of the major first seeds.
And so, but you guys hadn't seen each other for quite a while. And then on your own, you just started exploring these ideas and changing your perspective.
Well, that, and then not long after meeting Daryl, I met a Muslim filmmaker by the name of Deeyah Khan, and in her film White Right Meeting the Enemy, and I'd gotten to know Deeyah quite well over the course of that filming, and there was a number of people that left the NSM from interacting with Deeyah, and she has a very similar approach to how Daryl Davis approaches things. It's about listening, it's about being curious, it's about asking questions and sharing different perspectives, and that curiosity and that sincerity, it can help restructure the way someone thinks and the way they see people. So like Deeyah says to me, and this is actually in the film White Right Meeting the Enemy, you can see the change. Like I show the clip a lot of times at my talks, and I'll tell the audience, I'll say, take a look at my eyes in that clip because you can see it. The cameraman caught it, zoomed in on my eyes. She's saying, you know, the ideology that you, instead of telling me that I was wrong, she showed me, she says, the ideology that you stand for, the things that you believe in, they made me feel less than, ugly, not worthy. As a child growing up, that's how I felt. That's how your ideology made me feel.
A week later, an important far-right leader has agreed to meet me. Jeff Schoep leads the biggest neo-Nazi organization in America.
Cultural invasion from Mexico and every other third world cesspool that's coming here to try to overrun our borders.
The National Socialist Movement reveres Hitler, and until recently, their symbol was the swastika. For the first time ever in my life, I am about to meet a neo-Nazi.
Hello. Hi, Deeyah. Nice to meet you. Good to meet you, Jeff. Well, I didn't bring any tax. That's the thing. So I just assumed. I guess you guys would have. I mean, you don't have to use it. It's just it's your film, so it's like.
Well, I'm Jeff Schoep, commander of the National Socialist Movement. You know, we're a white civil rights organization here in America. We're white nationalists. Just as Martin Luther King did for the blacks, you know, our mission is pretty much the same. We feel that the white race in general, in fact, Western civilization in general, is under a full assault. A lot of statistics are saying that the whites are going to be a minority here in this country. Our stance has been that we'd like a homeland of our own for white people.
Jeff hates the idea of multiculturalism. He thinks it's part of a plot against the white race.
I think it goes back to the Zionists and the Jews. Jews control all the media, and they're pushing this agenda that we should all mix together, and I think it's to dumb down the population and to make us easier to control.
But what if you're wrong? Do you ever question yourself and think, what if all of this that I'm doing and all of this that I think, what if it's wrong?
That doesn't really come into play very often in my head. I really haven't questioned if I'm doing the wrong thing.
I read somewhere that you read Mein Kampf at the age of like 13, very, very young. What would attract a teenager to the ideology of Mein Kampf? Do you remember, what kind of feelings you had?
This is a long time ago.
But it's an important point in your life. I mean, it set the course for you sitting here today.
My mind is wandering right now. Like I think I'm kind of getting burned out on the questions or something.
I ask if I can read him the threatening emails I received.
Hey, swamp nigger, you're going back. Get out of Whitey world, you leeching slag, shit-skinned cunt. What does shit-skinned mean?
Just what it says, I guess.
Your fellow travelers, would they call me a mud person?
Some might say that.
Yeah? This vicious little creature must be crushed beneath our boots until nothing remains. Would you condemn it?
It's easier said than done. I discourage any illegal activity, which would include making threats to people. I understand people's anger. I understand where it's coming from. When a people feels that they're being genocided and that their whole world is changing around them, I understand why people have those reactions.
Jeff says I can come and film with them at their next event.
Or would I be safe just walking up as a shit skin?
Why do you keep saying that?
You don't like it? You don't like me saying that? No?
It's a photo of me with my father, taken at an anti-extremism rally when I was 6 years old.
So that's my dad,
Oh, wow.
and that's me. People who represent what you represent made a 6-year-old child feel hated and unwanted and unwelcome and ugly. The movement that you are a part of has this type of real life effect on people like me. How does it make you feel?
Uncomfortable. I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't think anybody should have to feel like that. What we stand for, what we believe is not about oppressing anybody. It's not about hurting anybody. I don't like hearing that sort of thing.
Unless that's all the movement is. Unless skin color is all that matters. And maybe all the politics and all the social and economic issues are actually just window dressing to be a racist.
That's not true.
So the issues are more important than the skin color.
I think so, but
You think
we are
so?
we are still a whites-only organization. You're not going to convince me different. Wow. And no one aside from Daryl Davis had ever approached me with anything like that. I was told I was wrong, but that human connection. When you dehumanize another human being, you lose your humanity in that process, and I'd lost my humanity a long time ago. And what Daryl and Deeyah did is they cracked that door open, that window to compassion, and I could see their humanity. Daryl did something very similar. He told me about how racism and hate affected him as a child growing up. That hurt. That hurt, you know? I mean, I'm not going to say it at the time when I'm still in the movement,
Right.
but on the inside, it really hurt. That bothered me. It's like, this is not this noble, grand cause that I believed it was if it's causing that kind of pain and suffering to other people.
I'd gotten wind that that Jeff was rethinking.
And so when exactly was that shift for you?
So I broke free from the movement in March of 19, but I was going through this process for several years. So typically you want somebody in like the work that we do, we want someone to disengage from the movement, and then we work on the de-radicalization part. My journey was backwards. So I'm de-radicalizing while I'm still involved. Now, if somebody would have told me that while I was involved, those would have been fighting words, you know, but it was basically like the mind wasn't catching up with what was going on. So that's when I was starting those last years when I was involved. I'm saying this is a white civil rights group. It's not a hate group. You know, and from the outside looking in, you go, man, this guy's insane. Of course it's a hate group, you know? And I see that now, obviously.
So what were the steps that you had to take before you were ready to leave the movement?
I had to try everything, and I beat myself up over that a lot. I'm going through these different changes. I'm having rules put into the organization where the last couple of years, they changed from the swastika in the public view to using an old runic symbol, the Odal rune. Today they switched back. They use the swastika again. But I was doing things like that to try to change the image of the group. As my own beliefs were shifting, I was trying to shift that into the party. And eventually I was like, because as a man, I thought, I'm going to fix this. I got to fix this, this mistake that I made, this terrible movement. I've got to fix it. And there's no fixing it. All I was doing was putting lipstick on a pig. You know, dressing up the Nazi Party, trying to make it look pretty. It still is what it is. So eventually, after 2019 rolls around, I was like, I have to get away from this. This is not right.